Hello there. Today I want to tell you a cautionary tale about my very first backpacking trip and its quick descent into chaos. And this will be informative about being ill-prepared in the backcountry. Safety should always be addressed when planning your trips, and you should always have a backup plan in case you run into the worst-case scenario. What is the worst camping trip you've ever been on? Let me tell you about my experience in Yosemite in the dead of winter. About 10 years ago, my husband and I decided that we should get our feet wet in the freezing cold. It was only 7 miles of icy steep switchbacks. What could possibly go wrong? A lot went wrong. Immediately, we got lost off the trail, simultaneously losing all of my water and soaking all of my camping gear. How do you avoid a travesty like this? I'll cover your basic needs and what you need to look out for. It's imperative to take the location and time of year into consideration, how much water you're going to need, and where you're going to have a water source if you bring a water filtration system. I learned very quickly it's not the best idea to pack the biggest CamelBak because I went to go take a sip and realized it had got caught on a branch and disconnected, soaking right into my sleeping bag. There was no way I was gonna camp in the freezing cold with an icy bag. It's preferable just to bring your small amount of water and a filtration system to refill when you need it, and make sure you're gonna be near streams and lakes that are gonna be drinkable and accessible. So what else you need to bring is food. Make sure you have lots of accessible snacks because hunger is a real concern when backpacking with loved ones. If you're not snacking while you're taxing your body backpacking, you will easily become hungry and grouchy. You also need to cover all your meals because you're expending a lot of energy putting in all those miles. Lastly, you need to think about your shelter preference. This could look like your tent, a hammock, or a tarp, whatever you're into, but make sure you're protected from the elements and you're not going to freeze in your icy sleeping bag. Also, it's extremely helpful to know your abilities and limits, so check your incline and mileage at your location you're planning on backpacking to. Don't attempt those steep icy switchbacks for your first try unless you're extremely fit and up for scaling mountains. Also, get an idea of proper backcountry navigation. I got lost immediately, and you probably shouldn't go wandering off trails unless you are mindful of where you're going and how to get back. Know how to use your GPS if you have one, so play with that cool Garmin technology before you're out there trying to figure it out on the fly. That brings me to my next point: try before you go. Pack everything up, try it on, make sure you have some semblance of comfort for your trip. Make sure things fit well, you're not overpacked, it's not too heavy, it's not dragging you down, dangling off your back, smacking into your legs, throwing you off balance or off a ditch or into a poison oak bush. Here's a bad example right here. You probably want to just get some practice runs in, go on longer day hikes, get an idea of how many miles you could put in over the course of a day so you're prepared to figure out where your first camp spot is going to be on your multi-day trip. And if all goes wrong, have a backup plan. So scout out a fallback destination. Needless to say, this first backpacking trip, I did not make it to my destination in the freezing cold with wet gear. Sometimes things come up you don't account for, so you have to get an idea where you can sleep, what you're going to eat, and where there's water to drink if your initial plans fall through. Even when all good intended plans go horribly off track, I find there's usually redemption in a snack and a nap. It's great to recognize when something simply isn't for you, but I'm happy to report that I finished backpacking several hundred miles in the last decade. It's a fantastic way to spend time outdoors. I love it and you should try it too, so please don't let this video discourage you. Once you get a few trips in, it's fantastic and there is nothing like it. Let me reiterate to always come prepared with food, water, and shelter logistics covered with a solid backup plan. Most importantly, remember there is something in the outdoors for everyone, so get out there, have fun, and be safe this summer.